And sorry about the delay. We just oh, sorry. I apologize for the small delay. I'm going to call the meeting at 5:32 p.m. Members of the public have been invited to participate in the meeting of council by attending here at council chambers at the municipal office located at 10227 Ilderton Road in Coldstream, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public may also access the meeting live stream on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel. The municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we are gathering on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenni Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on this land, and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. Okay, now under the additions to the agenda, there is one additional item this evening that was received after the deadline. So we do require a resolution of council at this time to add an item to the closed session. The motion before us is that November 19th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved with the addition of one additional item to be discussed in closed session pursuant to section 239(2)(f) regarding advice subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. This was with respect to a development matter in Ward 4. If I could have a mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Shipley, Councillor Coles, thank you. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Nope. Okay, so that is carried. Okay, I'll look to members of council now. Does anyone need to disclose any kind of pecuniary interest? Councillor Brennan.
Madam Mayor, due to the fact that I have property on the rail trail discussion, I will declare conflict on it.
Okay, thank you. And we don't have any delegations or presentations scheduled this evening. So the next item is a motion that council move into public meetings at 5:34 p.m. pursuant to the Planning Act RSO 1990 as amended to consider the applications listed on the November 19th, 2025 council agenda. So just before we get started, I have a bit of a preamble. Members of the public that wish, oh, sorry. I didn't vote.
A mover in a second.
I'm moving right ahead. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Cates and Deputy Mayor Brennan. Thank you. All in favor? Okay, now we'll get to business. So the first thing we need to do is talk about the procedure. Members of the public that wish to receive further notification on any of the applications that are being considered today, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcentre.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that comments expressed and written material presented are a matter of public record. If you have any questions on any of the applications that are being heard this evening, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on the file. Representatives of groups that have registered to provide comments on the applications will be given a maximum of 10 minutes to address the council, and individuals who've registered to speak on the matter will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to provide their comments. In keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, I would remind all of our meeting participants to use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. The order of procedure is as follows. First of all, the chair, that is myself, will ask the planner to explain the purpose of the application and to present a staff report. The applicant or their agent has the opportunity then to speak to the application. Next, those who have registered in advance and are attending in person will be asked for their comments. Then we'll have those who have registered in advance and are attending virtually will be asked for their comments virtually. And then the remaining members of the public who are present and wish to delegate will be called on for further additional comments. And the next step is then council can ask questions of the applicant, delegates, and or staff. And after that, then I will ask for consideration of motions on those applications. So the first item here is 6.1, which is an application for consent, and that is at 11718 McEwen Drive. And Dan Fitzgerald, our planner, is in attendance to provide an overview of the report. So when you're ready, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair. Thanks, Madam Mayor and members of council. So item 6.1 on the agenda tonight is with respect to a request to sever a residence that is deemed surplus to a farm operation as a result of a farm consolidation. So in this particular case, the applicant has applied for a concurrent zoning bylaw amendment as well, associated with the consent application, which does seek to rezone the lands to be severed to a surplus residence zone. And the farmland would be rezoned from an agricultural A1 zone to an agricultural no residence or A3 zone in our bylaw. The property is located on the north side of McEwen Drive. It is municipally addressed 11718 McEwen Drive. It does contain an existing single detached residence, a barn, as well as a shed. I would note that the applicant has indicated that they are in the process of removing the existing barn from the property and that the intent is that the smaller detached shed would remain with the house. So it is surrounded by agricultural lands that are in crop production, and I would also note that this property is bisected by an existing municipal drain. And it's just essentially east of where the boundary of the house would be. So as proposed, the applicant is seeking to sever the house with an area of approximately 2 acres. And the farmland post-severance would be approximately 48 acres in size. While larger than typically supported, staff note that the proposed severance is limited to the residential use and its associated services, that being the detached accessory structure. And it does not impact any existing farm operations that are within the area. A setback from the drain will be imposed to ensure that the drain stays entirely within the farmland. So staff have reviewed the proposed severance and note that we do support the application subject to the conditions listed in the planning report. And as such, I am recommending that the proposed severance be approved and that the zoning bylaw be approved in principle and that a bylaw be brought back to council for consideration once we have received a deposited reference plan. So thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We do have an agent for the applicant. Stuart Finglager is also on the call if the agent wishes to speak at this time.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Okay.
Finglater.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship, and members of council. I've had the opportunity to review Mr. Fitzgerald's planning report and recommendations, and I believe he's accurately provided you with the relevant legislation and policies to be considered. And I would agree with his analysis and recommendations on the applications. And I would simply ask that council approve the applications as they've been applied for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any people that want to come on and online? No?
Okay.
Or do you have a list?
There's no further attendees online, so we can.
Okay. All right, so are there any members of the public in attendance who would like to speak to this file? Seeing none, then I'll look to council. Are there questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Brennan.
I again am concerned with the size of the lot separation being 2 acres. I think there's an opportunity here that we can reduce the size of this lot. There's nothing saying that the trees have to go with the lot. They can stay with the farm. There's nothing wrong with the wooded area staying with the farm. But I'm just concerned that when we start approving 2 acre lots, the next will be 2.5 and then 3. And if we ever get our official plan through, we are indicating we want it more to the acre lots than bigger. So for that reason, either I will be voting against this or it can go back to staff to try to get it reduced.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor Arts.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Dan covered my major concern, and that was to make for sure the open ditch or the municipal drain went entirely with the farm. So I know the boundary hasn't specifically been set, but yeah, as long as there's ample of that to go with the land, I'm okay with this. Every situation is unique, and I respect your decision on this. Thank you.
Other councillors? Did you want to speak, Councillor? Go ahead.
Thank you. I would just I agree with Deputy Mayor Brennan, and I just wondered if he was making a motion to have this deferred back. Referred back?
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, if there's no more questions, I would at this time make a motion to refer this back to planners to get the area reduced to closer to 1 acre in the severance.
Okay. Are you Councillor Coles? I mean, Kate's your, okay, so we have a motion and a seconder. I'll call the vote on that. All in favor of the motion? Oh, sorry. Did you have to read it?
We do have Stuart to comment.
Oh, before. Okay. We're just going to let the the agent for the applicant comment on that.
Yeah, thank you. I've been before this council before. You have no policy that limits these severances to 1 acre. Your planner has given you direction after reviewing the relevant provincial policy and your own policies. I have an email from the company Sunnydale Acres Limited that's looking to purchase the farmland that says the 2 acre severance is ideal for us as we do not wish to own the buildings or the land that the buildings cover. So I'm not sure where the policies you're relying on are going to allow you to reduce this further than what the policies of the province, the county, and your own official plan allows. This severance is allowing for, as the PPS states, the lot shall be limited to a minimum size needed to accommodate the use and appropriate sewage and water services. The use of the land includes that small workshop that's been there for many years. The farmer that's buying it, the company that's buying it, has no need for that. It's not suitable for agriculture. The barn is proposed to come down. It's a small, very old structure, not suited for today's industry. Again, I would ask council to approve this as applied for in conformity with what your planner is recommending. So that's my comments, Your Worship. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam.
Deputy Mayor.
My motion stands.
So
Anyone else want to speak or they want to comment?
we have no one else on. Okay. No.
Okay.
We can call the-
I don't see any hands, and we can go ahead and call the vote on then. The vote again, as presented by the Deputy Mayor. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, thank you. Moving on, we need a motion that council will rise from public meetings. That is, that public meetings adjourn at 5:46 p.m. and council resume the regular meeting. Councillor Coles and Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, adoption of the minutes. The motion is that the minutes of November 5th, 2025 meeting of council be adopted as printed. Mover, please. Councillor Cates, Councillor Coles, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Just you did. And moving on to the consent agenda. There are 4 items listed here. I'll just ask council, is there anything anyone wants to speak to? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Brennan.
Yeah, if Sir Cassaden could give us a brief update on Old River Road and exactly how that's all going.
Sure. Through the mayor to deputy mayor and to the rest of the council. So just keep this very short. So Old River Road, we've been working through the detailed design for some time now. The kind of the current, I say, we're working through property acquisition and are making slow but positive progress there. We do have a couple of properties that are still outstanding. The other part that has been quite slow moving has been the permitting regarding the in-water works along within the river. There's a number of species at risk, and we've been working with DFO. The consultant's been working with DFO. The good news, there's been a lot of communication back and forth between the consultant and DFO recently, so they're actively reviewing it. It's possible that we may have to enter into a permit with DFO as opposed to just a letter of understanding, which is when they expect that we may have to do some mitigation or restoration elsewhere to supplement the habitat that will be damaged during the work. So that's what we're waiting to see and how that's going to impact the project. They did identify that, I think with the person from DFO who happened to be on the call the other day, identified that he hasn't worked on a project that has this many species at risk in quite some time. So I know, good that they're there, but unfortunate for the timing of our project. So certainly the intent is still to work through the permits in early 2026. We're still hoping to be able to start construction in 2026, but depending on the timing, it could be that we end up deferring the actual construction start till 2027. But progress is still happening. So.
Mr. Paul, Mr. Paul, is Upper Thames doing anything to help us? Are they providing us any funding for stabilization of the bank down below, or are they doing anything at all for us here?
Through the mayor to deputy mayor, no. So Upper Thames, we will need a permit from Upper Thames to undertake the work, but there's no funding that's been identified with Upper Thames. They have provided some information early on regarding floodplain levels and whatnot, but when we had reached out to them, that's back at the start of this project, and there was no funding available at the time. So we can certainly touch base with them again. We did apply for there was the natural disaster mitigation funding that we had applied for previously, and we're unsuccessful. So we'll certainly keep watching to see if there's any grants that are available.
Thank you.
And
Oh, go ahead, Councillor.
through you, Madam Mayor, 9.4 with the water, wastewater and stormwater rate. Can you just talk about the stormwater rates as to, well, I've read the BMA study, but maybe you can help me understand, why are they 9%?
Yep, through the mayor to Councilor Burrs. So all the rates have been set to looking at current reserves, planned projects, and what's going to be required in the future, right? To try to meet the reserve targets. And we're not closing that gap over 5 years. I think it's targeted at 15 years for the water and wastewater. On the stormwater side, there's only about $1 million a year of revenue that comes in. That funds operating and capital projects that are storm related. So the big project there that is going to put that reserve into a deficit is the Kamoka Swim project.
Which swim project?
Kamoka drain, yeah, which will have the large storm sewer that runs down Kamoka River. Yeah, so that's going to be the big project. We'll look to see if we can get any other funding or grants on that. But the majority of that project cost is going to come out of the Stormwater Reserve Fund.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot about that. That's the big one, isn't it? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, I noticed in that report that the timeframes are 8 years, 10 years, 15, like the timeframes are significant. There's a lot of work to be done and the amounts are huge. So, right. Okay, I saw a hand. Go ahead, Councillor Cates.
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor, again with 9.4 and the water, wastewater and stormwater rate. Obviously nobody likes to see an increase, but I just wanted to say that I thought that the report was very informative and that it really laid out where we're at. And it's an example of you can't keep giving less, because one day it catches up to you. So I just wanted to say it was a detailed report for people to be able to read and see what's happening. Thank you.
Okay, and if there are no other items there that we want to pull, we do have a motion before us that the consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.4 listed on the November 19th, 2025 agenda be adopted as recommended. And it's moved by Councillor Councillor Shipley. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to staff reports. The first item on the list tonight is 10.1 Stanton Standby Energy Project Municipal Support Resolution. And Stephanie Bergman, Manager of Planning and Development, is going to be attending virtually to speak to the report. We'll just wait for her to come on.
Yes, thank you.
There you are.
Madam Mayor, can everybody hear me?
We can. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Okay, great. Thank you. And apologies for not being there in person. But I'm here today to provide information on a request that the municipality received from Stanton Standby Energy for a municipal support resolution. And this is as part of their application to the Independent Electricity System Operator, or what we call IESO. And this request for proposals from the IESO is part of an ongoing campaign that they have to resolve needs within our electrical grid. So this request relates to the expansion of capacity of their existing renewable natural gas facility that they have at their site at 13514 12 Mile Road, north of Ilderton. So currently, the proponent generates up to 2 megawatts at the site, and this proposal would expand that up to 10 megawatts of electricity. And I do understand that the proponent is there today to provide some more specifics and answer questions on some of that technology. So the project will consist of up to 6 reciprocating gas engines, and these are installed in weatherproofed enclosures with noise abatement and will be integrated within the existing facilities and farm infrastructure that they have at the site currently. So we note that the municipal support resolution is really just that one step required as part of their RFP submission. And so should they be successful in obtaining a contract with the IESO, more information may be required. And of course, we would be confirming any zoning, site plan, fire, building code considerations as part of that. It's also noted that they will require a permit or registration through the MECP's Environmental Sector Registry, and that's to ensure compliance with noise and air emissions standards. So in terms of consultation, I will note that aside through this request directly to municipal council, the IESO does not actually require any specific or direct consultation with neighboring landowners. But staff felt that it was important to share the information with neighboring landowners. So we did direct the proponents to provide an information package to all adjacent landowners. And in this case, to my knowledge, we didn't receive any information from landowners for this site. So just to summarize, council here is being asked to provide a municipal support resolution as laid out in the motion before you. And you can see there that it explicitly notes that this does not represent or imply any support for planning or other forms of approval that may be required. But again, it is just that first step in the proponent's application to the IESO. So again, I do believe that the proponent is there today to provide some information. And also happy to answer any questions.
So we do have Matt Lensink. Is there anything you would want to add or clarify, expand upon? Okay. And the presentation is on the screen, so. I can't do that.
Yeah, I can.
No, I can't turn it on. You'll have to press the little button, I think, to the left. The one on the left side. It's not working?
There we go.
There we go. Okay, you're live and you can see the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. I won't go through the presentation. It's in your package. I am here as the CEO of CEM Engineering, and we are developing the project with Stanton Farms, so in partnership together. And we're doing our best to support the IESO with the energy challenges that we have in the province of Ontario over the next 20 and 30 years as the load grows. And so Stephanie did a great job representing the project. We are here looking to get support for the bids, which are going in December of this year. And in this particular project, we're looking to leverage the existing infrastructure and existing operation at the Stanton Dairy facility and just add on to that. They're in a good spot as it relates to both gas and electrical infrastructure. This provides power generation at peak times. So the expectation is that these units will run, between 500 and 1,000 hours over the course of a year, primarily between 11 and 7 when it's a hot summer day or a cold winter night. So these are intended to just be a peaking operation. And so this will provide that reliability on a rural feeder in a rural area. So as Stephanie pointed out, we have lots of steps to take. We have noise studies to do. We have emissions modeling to do. We have building permits. And that all comes after we find out if we're successful, which hopefully happens in June of next year. So I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that. I'll look to council and are there questions? And go ahead, Councillor Arts.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I've had some people ask me questions basically on your motors, like the noise, vibration, smell. I think that's, yeah. So if you say you have to do a noise study, like there must, or whatever the standards are and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a provincial guideline in Ontario that governs noise emissions, and it's shaped by basically what the baseline noise emissions are. And so the way this will work, if we're successful with the project, early in the design phase, we will do a noise study of the ambient area and figure out what the existing noise levels are. And then there are, for these engines, they sit in an enclosure. From the outside, it looks like a kind of a fancy shipping container, but it's much fancier than that. There's noise abatement in that, and there's different levels of noise abatement. And so we will start with the baseline noise study, and we will select the engine abatement technology so that we don't increase the ambient noise levels when they are operating. There's more details, but at the risk of getting too nerdy as an engineer, I won't go into too many details, but that's basically it. We establish what emissions we need so that we don't upset the baseline noise conditions. And there won't be any odor emissions because it's natural gas is the fuel.
And vibrations, there won't be any vibrations either, is there?
No, these are high-speed engines, and so high-speed engines, the vibration dampening happens inside the container, and it's a very well understood science. And so if you and I were standing outside the container beside it, we wouldn't feel any vibrations. If we were inside, we'd feel it, but outside, not a concern.
And the location, I assume on this site, they're right at the road, so any further units, if you got approved, you'd continue to keep them close to the road, so we're not going into the agricultural land?
Yeah, the intent is to use that kind of land that's not being used for anything else. And, really the goal is to have this one project and that, further expansion, if we looked at it, although there will be limits to how any further expansion just by natural gas and electrical infrastructure, but it would all be contained in that area.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Coles.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Would you just comment on the safety, just for the people of Ilderton, just the safety on it, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so the units, the engines will be in containers, and those containers will likely be locked, and so the keys will be held by the operator. And so for the public to go in and get in, it's not possible. And then from a safety perspective relative to fire or things of that nature, each of the units will have an emergency shutoff valve on the outside, and so if they detect a fault on the grid, as an example, or if they detect basically anything untoward, there's a fire detection system inside the container. And so that will immediately trigger a shutoff of the fuel. And so there may be, in a rare instance, there may be fire, but it would be contained inside the enclosure. And in my 15 years of doing it, I've seen it maybe once. But it will be contained within the specific enclosure.
Other questions? I just had a quick question to follow on with regard to the fire part. Would there be a connection to the local fire hall or an alarm system that is a part of that communications piece or notification?
Typically what we do is we kind of early in the design phase, we would have a meeting with the fire chief or whoever's leading that and kind of review the layout, review, the pathway around it. And, we feel it's beneficial to engage early. That way, if they have any specific requirements, we can engage that. It's much easier to do that when it's on paper than when we're in construction. So that's typically what we do early in the design phase, is get them engaged.
And a follow-on question, you were talking about your experience over the last decade and a half. How many of these units or sites are there in Ontario?
Oh, hundreds of this size and type. There are hundreds across Ontario. They have different fuels. They have different operating regimes. But in terms of what I would call small scale power generation, there's hundreds of these sites.
Okay. All right. If no one has any other questions, we do have a motion before us. That report PLA 67/2025 regarding Stanton Standby Energy Project, that is municipal support resolution, be received, and that council supports the submission of a proposal for the long-term capacity services project located on the lands known municipally as 13502 12 Mile Road, and that council approves a council support resolution, see attachment 2, for the request to assist Stanton Standby Energy Inc. in their application to a long-term 2 request proposal issued by the Independent Electricity System Operator. And further, that this resolution does not imply support for planning or other forms of approval that may be required for the proposed project, as the sole purpose of this resolution is to assist the proponents in their submissions to the IESO LT2 project RFP process. Could I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Deputy Mayor Brennan and Councillor Cates, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, and I'll just say thank you, Mr. Lensick, for your time and your clarifications. And we can move to item 10.2, which is Dairy Lane Walker Resilient Generation 2.0 Inc. Energy Project. And again, we'll have Stephanie and then Mr. Lensick if he has to answer any other additional questions. So go ahead, Stephanie, with your report on this one.
Hi there. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to the rest of council. So this next file is going to be a similar request that the municipality received from Dairy Lane or Walker Generation 2.0 Inc. Again, for a similar municipal support resolution as part of their application to the IESO, the Independent Electricity System Operator. And similarly, this request is relates to the establishment, but in this case, actually, it's a new facility on lands known as 10651 Gold Creek Drive. And this facility would be to generate up to the same 10 megawatts of electricity. And this project would consist of up to 5 reciprocating gas engines. And again, similarly, they would be installed in those weatherproofed enclosures with noise abatement equipment. And this, again, I note this is a slightly different proposal. This is at a new site here. And I'll note that staff have engaged with the proponent in pre-consultations regarding a zoning bylaw amendment and site plan for a new farm-related industrial operation at this site. We have not received those applications yet, but we are expecting them to come forward in the near future. So council will be aware of those, and those will come forward. So unlike the previous application, this also isn't considered an agriculturally integrated project, and therefore the IESO, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture, prepared guidelines for the preparation of a scoped agricultural impact assessment. So again, and this kind of occurs in stages based on the progress of the project and if they're successful in receiving a contract. But at this stage, the proponents were required to prepare what OMAFA calls parts A and B of the AIA, which includes an evaluation of alternative locations to avoid prime agricultural lands or lands considered lower, or to find lands considered lower priority. So the proponent did provide this assessment, which is attached to my staff report. And as I mentioned, if they should be successful in their submission to the ISO, that some additional analysis will be required, as well as for their upcoming planning applications as well. So again, I've noted this in the previous application, but it's just the first step as part of their RFP submission. And should they be successful, as I mentioned, more information would be required. And specifically in this case, a zoning bylaw amendment and a site plan would be required. So it's noted, and then I think I mentioned this previously as well, but they are also required a permit or a registration through the MECP's Environmental Sector Registry. Okay, and then in terms of consultation, so I mentioned this previously as well, that the IESO doesn't actually require any consultation as part of this, part of these RFP submissions, but staff obviously did feel that it was important to share with neighboring landowners. So we directed the proponent to provide an information package to all those adjacent landowners. And I know that we, as well as the applicant, did receive various questions along with a number of concerns from neighboring landowners regarding noise, emissions, and then of course, overall concern regarding the upcoming development at the site. And staff did have several conversations with some of those landowners and helped provide some context regarding how those applications will come forward. So again, just to summarize, council is being asked to provide that municipal support resolution as laid out in the motion before you. And just again, similarly as the last one, the motion does note that this does not represent or imply any support for planning or other forms of approval that may be required, but it's just that first step in the proponent's submission to the IESO RFP. So you know that the representative for the applicant's here to answer any more of those technical questions, and also happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that report. Again, Mr. Lensink, if you'd like to present your report.
There we go. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I won't repeat. It's largely the same. I have a different development partner on this one, John Van Lochtenstein, one of the principals at Dairy Lane Systems. He's out of town, but he's online, and so he can address questions regarding kind of their plans, their property. But beyond that, the intent is the same: is to build distributed generation to support the ISO with the power needs in this province, particularly in peak hours. So the technology will be similar, the sizing will be similar, the safety and the noise design will all be similar to the prior one.
I'll look to council then. Are there questions? Councillor Arts, go ahead.
Through your, excuse me, through your Madam Mayor to Matt, I've had a couple of concerns brought to me. There is, if this goes through, there may be a 10-inch municipal drain there. And I assume if you did any construction work on this, that you'd have to upgrade the tile or fix it, or because the older ones wouldn't take the construction. And I'm not happy with the location, like keep it along the road the way the other one is. So I wouldn't support putting it in the middle of a farm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So what I would say is that, subject to getting the project, there's, if and when we are successful in getting the contract, then there's a whole process of detailed design and location and site-specific considerations those will, be a key part of our detailed design. We are working with John right now on development of an LT1 project, which is the precursor to LT2. And we've gone through, I would say, 12 months of detailed design and lots of those, where to put it. Other site-specific considerations are a key part of that. So, certainly those are good points and will definitely be addressed in the detailed design phase if and when we're successful.
Add on?
We're good. Oh, sorry.
And there you go. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, I just had a follow-on question to that. If you could explain exactly why you'd like it in that area and not closer to the road.
I'll defer to John if I can on the phone. Is John with us?
I am. I don't know if everyone can hear me or not.
We can hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so on that, we are, Stephanie kind of alluded to it, but we are looking at doing some further development on that site. We haven't finalized our planning submission for that. It's in process. So when that is done, it will kind of make more sense where it's located. But, we also take, what you guys are saying into consideration here, and if it makes more sense to move it closer to the road, we are definitely open to that as well. So it's not set in stone that it has to be where it is on the site at all. So we're definitely open to suggestions and trying to, site it appropriately on that site. Our goal is to, keep as much of that land area as agriculture as possible.
Okay. But no more? Okay. Is there anyone else? I don't see any hands. Public isn't part of it. Yeah, they have not registered. No, this is accounts. Yeah, sorry, do you want to explain why there's no comment? Oh, we had a hand up from the count. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, the clerk will clarify.
Okay, yes, so just confirming that we don't have any delegations registered in accordance with the deadlines. So I have recommended that residents reach out directly to members of council. I see that some of the questions have been brought forward and advocated for here, but generally, no, we're approaching this as a typical staff report where members of council may engage.
Okay, that's just for the record then. So the next step here is then we have a motion before us. That report PLA number 68, 2025 regarding Dairy Lane / Walker Resilient Generation 2.0 Inc. energy project be received, and that council supports the submission of a proposal for the long-term capacity services project located on the lands known municipally as 10651 Gold Creek Drive. And that council approve a municipal council support resolution, see attachment 2, for the request to assist Walker Resilient Generation / Dairy Lane in their application to a long-term 2 requests for proposal issued by the Independent Electricity System Operator, IESO. And further, that this resolution does not imply support for planning or other forms of approval that may be required for the proposed project, as the sole purpose of this resolution is to assist the proponents in their submissions to the IESO LT2 project RFP process. Could I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Burrs and Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, thank you for your time and comments. And now we can move on to number 10.3, which is the rail trail. And our Manager of Transportation, Andrew Geeson, is here to present that report. When you're ready, Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and through the chair, good evening to you and members of council. The report before you is seeking direction as to whether the requirements for the rail trail extension, as outlined in the municipality's official plan, Transportation Master Plan, and 2014 Trails Master Plan, should be applied to new development applications. Staff have been working with the developer on a development application where there was a requirement for land to be dedicated to the municipality to support the rail trail extension. The applicant has raised concerns about this requirement, and staff are seeking council's direction. Staff have prepared a number of options for council to consider. in a similar fashion as to how a recent staff report was presented to council concerning the requirements for sidewalks in hamlet areas through new development. So I'll run through the 6 options here, and then I'll pause at the end and ask council if there's any questions they might have. I recognize they might be a little bit nuanced here, so I do expect there might be some questions afterwards. So option 1A is the staff recommended option and would require a clause be added to the development agreement that should council approve the rail trail within the active transportation plan, council would have 20 years to exercise the option to have the lands dedicated to the municipality at no cost. So as mentioned, this is the staff recommended option. It allows council to review the extension of the rail trail comprehensively through the active transportation plan, which we do expect to be wrapped up in March of 2026. This also allows the development agreement to keep moving forward so as not to hold up the development process. This option is also similar to how council previously directed staff to deal with the new development and the requirements for sidewalks in hamlet areas. Option 1B is similar to option 1A, with the only difference being that the land would be purchased by the municipality as opposed to dedicated. The same timelines would apply. Option 2A is similar to option 1A in that the lands would be dedicated to the municipality at no cost, again, subject to council's approval of the rail trail extension through the active transportation plan. The difference is that the land dedication would be required upon council's approval of the rail trail through the active transportation plan. So essentially on council's approval of the active transportation plan, should the rail trail be contained in that, the applicant would then be required to dedicate the land. So there's no timing, no option. Option 2B is similar to option 2A in that council should council approve the rail trail through the active transportation plan, the lands required for the rail trail extension would be purchased by the municipality as opposed to dedicated. Option 3A would be that staff be directed to require the dedication of the lands now at no cost, as opposed to waiting for council to review the active transportation plan. And option 3B is similar to 3A, with the difference being that council directs staff to enter into negotiations with the landowner to purchase the required lands. And finally, option 4 is essentially the do nothing option, where staff are directed to proceed with the development process without requiring lands be dedicated for the future rail trail. I would just add this option would likely hinder and quite likely prevent any future extension of the rail trail. I will pause at this time and ask if there are any questions.
Thank you kindly. I will look for council for comments and discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Crowell, start us off. Oops.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Andrew, I actually have 6 questions for you. I'd like you to answer, please, and thank you. So my first question is, and I apologize, but my first question is about stakeholders and really the landowners. I just want to understand about the public input so far. What have you heard?
Through the chair to Councillor Coles. Yes, so back when council approved the transportation master plan in 2024, there was some discussion around the horseshoe about the rail trail, and staff subsequently at the beginning of 2025 did send out letters to 14 property owners to sort of gauge interest in the rail trail and sort of identify this as a potential project at some point. From those 14 letters that were sent out, staff only received 5 responses. 3 were hard no's, that there was no interest. And then 2 were sort of on the fence. They were open to some additional dialogue and discussion and really wanted to know some more details about the rail trail. The only other sort of public input received to date has been through the active transportation plan. So that would be through the online survey. We haven't got the consolidated responses back yet from the consultant, but I do know that there was some level of public desire or support for the rail trail. I'm just not sure on what level at this point.
Thank you. Okay, and at this point, have you heard any information back from the property owners between the no cost and the purchase options?
Through the chair to Councillor Coles, no, those options, although sort of identified in that letter, there was no, direct negotiations as to, would you be willing to sell or at what price you might be willing to sell.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And At this point, how does the rail trail align with the active transportation plan?
Through the chair to Councillor Coles. So the active transportation plan is building off of some of these foundational documents that have been approved by council. So the transportation master plan, the official plan, the previously approved trails master plan. So yes, it is looking at those documents and including some of those features from those plans and then using public input to help round out the selection of facilities and things like that.
Thank you. And I might cut a little short and I won't, I'm going to just ask you two more questions. So if the municipality actually chooses the purchase option in the future, and you may not be able to answer this question, but what range of land values might we expect based on what we see so far?
Through the chair to Councillor Coles, I think it would be pretty hard to gauge. It would sort of have to be based off of what the size of the land being purchased is and what it's actively being used for and its highest and best use. So going through some recent property negotiations with Old River Road, it can be quite challenging to sort of land on a reasonable dollar figure.
Yes, thank you. My last question is, what risks exist if council chooses not to secure this corridor at this stage?
Through the chair to Councillor Coles, I would say at this point there's no risk or liability on the behalf of the municipality, other than that, like I mentioned before, if council chooses not to move forward with the rail trail, that connection to the City of London is likely not to happen without some significant cost and a change.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my questions.
That's it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, to Rob or Andreas. Just some comments on this. I think the ship has sailed, to be honest with you. I think if the municipality wanted to purchase this land, it should have been done when it was sold to the farmers at that point. Should have went to them at that point and asked if they'd be interested in selling the land back to the township. I got big concerns with vandalism and liability, people up and down the trail. As we're well aware, there's a company that wants to build on the corner of Medway and High Park. Both Councillor Nartz met with him and he's got big concerns of vandalism on his property as the trail will back onto, or his property will back onto the trail. And how do we handle with farmers spraying fields, people walking by? I think our liability is just going to go out of control in this. I don't want to start down a road where we're ending up in court over the whole thing. And the farmers put a lot of money into this. They've had it all dug out, taken the gravel out and leveled it up, but topsoil back in, and now they're all farming it. I just think we're going down a road that I don't want to start down. Thank you.
I'm good.
Magic.
Through you, Madam Mayor, a lot of my comments are similar to Councillor Shipley. As a farmer, I don't want a trail going through my farm. I'll get sued because I go off the trail and fall down. I've got a field that's cut up in two. I'm spraying, there's dust. The liability issues for me would be terrible. And theft, vandalism, we deal with this stuff every day when we've got properties near houses. Like, I've never supported the rail trail. I never will. And most of it's gone. A lot of it's gone. So to make a comparison, you know, you live in a nice subdivision, you got a big backyard. How would you and your neighbors like it if all of a sudden we decided we're putting a walking path trail right through the middle of your backyard? And that's comparable to my feelings on this too. So thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Andrew. I just want to better understand. I mean, obviously I get why we would say at no cost, because then we don't have to pay any money. So I get that, but I don't get the picture of, I'm assuming the picture's a little murky. We got this farmer has this big field and all of a sudden we're going to say, yeah, at no cost, we get to have all of that property. Is that basically what this means?
Through the chair to Councillor Cates, yes. So through the Planning Act, the municipality has the ability to acquire lands for trails in a similar manner to road widening dedication. So in this case specifically, that's what we're talking about. If it was outside of that, it would have to be through negotiation or some sort of other mechanism.
Thank you. And can you just refresh me on exactly where the rail trail is? Is this just the one for like Ilderton sort of way? I had a picture in my mind of, you know, like in Kamoka, the Sifton, and that's the railroad tracks, and they talked about a trail. So I thought maybe it was a general comment or general opportunity.
Through the chair to Councillor Kate, so this would be an extension of the existing rail trail in Ilderton from 10 miles south towards the city of London. And it would largely follow the old rail bed of the old rail line that went north.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Yes, the next green light is that one.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to add what I was saying, there is one property where the fellows put a garage on the rail trail. So does he put a back door in it so people can walk through his garage? Like it's right sitting on the rail trail. And just to add again, I'm concerned, I may speak out of turn on this, but I'm concerned if we go ahead with this program, I'm not so sure we're going to get that business on the corner of High Park and Medway Road, which we are looking for business tax, I understand. So I'm not saying he would go either way, but I know he's got some concerns with it. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Coles?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple more questions for Andrew, just for a few things that were just brought up here. So currently so I'm in Ilderton where the rail trail is, and I actually go on it almost every day. So I enjoy it myself, and I know lots of other residents do. Right now, there's a few farms that do back onto the current trail. Could you speak to any vandalism that happens now, and what do the farmers do when they have to spray now? Like, I've never really noticed, because I go on it all the time, what's happening in those ways, just because those have been brought up as concerns. And then the other thing is, would you, I'm going to call it a jog. Would you do a jog instead of a straight line down the rail trail? Would you jog around some of these issues like a garage or a property that someone might be, having an issue with? Thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Coles, I'll answer your second question, and then I will defer your first question to the manager of community services beside me, who will know about vandalism on the rail trail far better than I would. But to address your second question, yes, the intent would be to move around obstacles that are in the place, right? The line is a hypothetical line that generally follows that old rail bed. We would definitely look to move around obstacles to make sure that it's functional and that it makes sense, right? We don't want to see people moving garages or houses or things of that nature. And I will pass things over to Justin here in a second.
Through the chair, speaking in regards to vandalism, being as really no infrastructure, can't really relate it to dollar value for vandalism. Garbage, yes, absolutely. Maintenance in regards to regular grading if motorized vehicles get on it, yes, there is that ongoing. But I have, in my tenure here, I have not been contacted from homeowner, or I'm going to say landowners, on either side of the rail trail complaining at this point about vandalism or off-trail use. I'm sure it happens, just I have not been contacted.
Thank you. And just a comment about the spraying. Do we know what happens right now when farmers spray?
Through the mayor, I'm unsure. I'm sure it happens, and yes, there would be concerns. I don't know if postings are being done. Absolutely not.
No.
And it would not be up to the landowner to post in that regard. The expectation would be that people stay on trail, but does that happen? I can't speak to that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. And I have Councillor Arts.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Couple questions. One's clarification. Andrew, you said the trail from the 10 mile road to Medway Road, but I thought in those studies we talked the rail trail, you're talking from Denfield Road to Arba.
Through the chair to Councillor Arts, yes, the rail trail does extend north as well from Ilderton to Denfield. Sorry, I was speaking specifically of that section between the City of London and Ilderton.
Okay, and then when it comes to spraying, like we do it when the weather's permitting, but if we're spraying along a trail and there's people on there, they're gonna phone the Ministry of the Environment up and bitch and complain and try to shut us down, because I've had one neighbor once, they were shut down for 2 hours. So, and then dust. When we're combining, there's gonna be dust. Might be the odd cob fly out the back of the combine and hit somebody. And then if you dissect across the field, we gotta get to the other side too. So you're gonna have a gateway where we can cross. Like I said, it's from a farmer's standpoint of view, it's just a nightmare. Thanks.
Go ahead, Councillor Bruce.
Okay. Through your worship to Councillor Coles. So Councillor Coles, what do you think? People want the trail, but there's all these other issues around it. You want to comment or you want to pass?
I can comment. I think the trail works well as it is right now. And like I said, there are several farmers' fields along the way. And if we can jog it along so it's not impeding any big issues, I'm not saying you're going to have an easy way. I mean, you have heard from the farmers so far. I think it's a great opportunity. People want to be active. People want to be out. It gives another way to get places. And if you've tried to ride your bike on the roads out here, it's called a donor cycle for a reason. Yes.
Okay, so I just have one comment. I understand staff wants to jump in too, but the motion that's recommended, it's a clause for development agreement for a 20-year option. Should council approve the rail trail? I read that to mean we're keeping the door open, options open in the event that, I mean, I don't think it'll be more than 20 years before Ilderton joins up with Sunningdale Properties. But when you look at the work, I mean, London is known from Springbank Park, for example, and the lands along the river that stretch from Byron all the way through and connects to the university through the trail that way up to and around to where the sewage plant is on the other east end of, like, you can get around. So I read this as a long-term vision for a possibility of something rather than something that's going to happen in the next year or two or cause an issue with farming and agriculture, which is a key financial driver for our community. But anyways, I'm just throwing out my perspective. I understand our Rob is going to comment on this.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Probably a lot of my comments have already been covered, but I think you hit the nail on the head, right? It's just kind of keeping the door open that with the staff's recommendation of option 1A. So I was going to point out, it's already kind of been touched on, right, that certainly I was not aware of any issues along the current rail trail. That the intent is to create a connection to the City of London that doesn't have to follow the exact rail line. I mean, the intent is that the rail line is still partly there. Absolutely, the best time would have been 20 years ago whenever it went to the landowners, but it's still better now than it is in 20 years from now when more of it is disrupted because it's not all farmed. Some of it is, but not all of it. So the intent would be to find a running line for the trail that would be least impactful from Ilderton to London. Yes, it does currently identified to go to Denfield. I think in all likelihood, the priority section would be Ilderton to London, right? And whether the Denfield section falls away, perhaps that's an option. I think the other thing was that with it not being farmed, some of it's probably still wooded or scrubby, is that if you look at an appraised value, it's probably less value as well than if you wait until it's being farmed in the future. That there is the potential that if you enter into an agreement with somebody, you could set it up so that they could use it as parkland dedication, should that property ever develop, say within that time period. And I was just going to say Palmerston is a good example. So Palmerston has a rail trail that runs from, I think, Palmerston down to, Hairston. So it runs a number of miles through the countryside. Again, I don't know. It's a gravel path. So very similar to what this would be intended to be. So I think my opinion is that securing an option to purchase in the future, and whether that's to be at no cost or at an appraisal at that time, to me, that's a good option, but I leave it to council's discretion.
Okay, appreciate your comments. Does anyone have anything with regard to what was just said? Okay, so the motion before us is, oh, I've got it right here. That report PWE 56/2025 regarding the rail trail be received, and that council directs staff to proceed with option 1A as outlined in the report, being that a clause be included in the development agreement for a 20-year option to acquire rail trail land should council approve the rail trail expansion through our active transportation plan. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burrs, Councillor Cates? I'll call the vote. All in favor? And we have opposed? So that's 2 against. And 4. Okay, and the vote is carried. Okay, thank you for all your thoughtful comments and input. And get Deputy Mayor Brennan back in here again. The next item up is the fees and charges bylaw, and Director of in her previous capacity or her concurrent capacity as Director of Corporate Services, she's going to present that report. So when you're ready, Tiffany. I think you can go. Okay. Oh, there you go.
So thank you, and through you, Mayor DeVete. In front of you is the report with respect to the fees and charges bylaw for 2026. So municipal user fees are reviewed annually with a more comprehensive review done every few years to ensure that they remain fair, effective, and aligned with evolving community needs, fiscal responsibility, and transparency goals. All municipal departments were involved in the process for the 2026 fee bylaw, and the required notice was provided to the community. It is important to note that staff rely on the Municipal Act and relevant provincial legislation for guidance, ensuring that all fee structures are legally compliant and consistent with municipal operations. The 2026 review included a comprehensive analysis of fee bylaws from other municipalities to identify best practices and maintain a competitive and appropriate fee schedule for the municipality. At this time, I'll open it up to council if there's any questions, and all departments are present that can answer any specific questions for their departments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll look to council. Does anyone want to speak to anything here? Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Burrs.
Sorry, I got worked out from here.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
I forgot.
Yeah, I looked at it and I've seen a few others in other meetings I'm in, and everything is going up, but I think the attempt here was, it looks like there was a lot of 2%. So the cost, what is it, inflation is 2.2 or something I saw in the paper, so that's fine. And we've increased other things, and we've looked at other municipalities. So I don't have a problem with it, but generally speaking in our society, and there's no answer to this, everything keeps going up. That's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I found that it was actually the opposite, that a lot of things did stay the same. So could you point out some of the things that are increasing, or anything that you'd like to tell us about?
It's in the columns. Yeah. Yeah. Was there one particular one that, no? Okay, so if there isn't anything else, okay, there is a motion before us that the report CPS 61/2025 regarding fees and charges bylaw 2026 be received, and that the 2026 fees and charges bylaw be approved. If I could have a mover and a seconder, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Coles, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Okay, thank you for that. We don't have any notices of motion this evening. There are 4 correspondence items. Does anyone want to speak to anything here before we make a motion here? Health Unit, Community Schools, St. Clair, and Middlesex County Council highlights. I don't see any hands. In that case, the motion before us is that correspondence items 12.1 through 12.4 be received for information. Councillor Cates and, Councillor Burrs, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried as well. Okay, Deputy, do you have an update for us?
I think everything that's in the Middlesex County report, don't really have anything over and beyond that. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there any other business other councillors want to raise at this time? Nothing? Okay. Alrighty, in that case, we have a motion before us for a closed session, and it is that the council for the municipality of Middlesex Centre adjourn to closed session at 6:41 p.m. pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(c) regarding a proposed or pending acquisition disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and that is word 4. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(f) regarding advice subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose with respect to development matter in word 4. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(b) regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal and local board employees, and pursuant to section 239(2)(f) regarding advice subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose with respect to municipal staff. And one item pursuant to section 239(2)(b) regarding personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, and pursuant to section 239(2)(d) about labor relations or employee negotiations, and pursuant to section 239(2)(f) regarding advice subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose as regard to CAO recruitment. Could I have a mover, please, and a seconder? I have Councillor Shipley and Councillor Coles. Thank you. All in favor? Yes. And no one's opposed? Okay. And we'll just wait a moment to transition. 3-minute break. Okay, everyone?